Pissing pirates.
Welcome to Pissed Pirates. We're not pissed at One Piece. We're pissed at you.
We're actually pissed
back.
at you today. We're pissed at you. We missed you guys, our loyal viewers.
Oh my God, Jack! It's been 4 months.
It's been 4 months, dude. It feels like longer. I'm not gonna lie.
It does.
Longer
It
than
does.
4 months. I feel like a lot has happened in my life in 4 months. But
Yeah, it has.
yeah, a lot of things have occurred. But you know, One Piece is still is the only consistent thing.
It's the rock. It's the
It's the thing holding us together, man.
It's the anchor. Yeah.
In these turbulent times, man, we're held together by these.
It's something I can rely on, unless Oda takes a break. In which case I have
lazy
to.
Bitch.
In case I have to wait
bitch.
2 weeks.
2 weeks for my shit. Oh my God.
Which is fine, and especially today. We're recording on a Sunday, and it's during a period of a break for Oda.
Yeah,
so the last chapter came out more than a week ago, actually. But he hasn't published a chapter in a bit.
Yeah, that's what it feels. No, I was talking to a friend today. I'm like, I feel like I'm so far behind on One Piece, but I guess he just hasn't made a chapter in a bit. Like when I go more than a week without One Piece, I feel like so separated from it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I get like in the habit of reading it every week, and it's kind of like a momentum-based thing.
Definitely.
And then whenever it falls off, I'm just kind of like, oh, what's One Piece?
Yeah,
and then
I hear that. No,
I kind of get disconnected from the story a bit.
It is weird too because the breaks are very sporadic. It's not very reliable of like when he's gonna take a break, and it's like Christmas when you read at the end of the chapter and everyone's like no break next week, and they're like yay, yeah. But it's like that's kind of supposed to be the norm. You know?
Yeah. It's like crossing your fingers at the end of the chapter. Like, please,
yeah.
let me do the same thing next week, please.
Right. I guess it doesn't matter too much with Egghead because, oh my gosh, how is he spitting this hard every chapter?
He did it. People complain about the fucking pacing, and he's like, all right, guys.
Oh, bet.
We're doing this, man. We're just gonna make the best One Piece pacing, I think, like in the entire series.
I'm gonna go back to Syrup Village arcs where an arc would take 2 volumes, maybe 3.
It's crazy. Well, it's so interesting because most of the time, like during these arcs, like we don't get to see the outside world until the very end of the arc, and it's like a big exciting thing. But we're constantly being intercut into different parts of the world, like every chapter.
Yeah, there's
like
something going on.
The Revolutionaries, Kid, Blackbeard, Kobe,
Garp, the Navy,
Navy,
the law,
Kuma,
and everything. Yeah.
And it's like so. There's so many. Like we always know in the background, there's always moving parts in One Piece, but that's in the background.
Yes.
But he's finally putting it at the forefront, which is so exciting. Like he's had this set up for fucking 25 years.
The entire time.
Entire time, and now we finally get to see like the fruits of his labor. It's like awesome.
I was just mentioning with my roommate who's playing One Piece Odyssey right now. I am not, and I know you're not, Jack, as well.
No, I haven't. Yeah, I didn't.
So we can't really speak on Odyssey right now, but my roommate mentioned he sent me a picture of Smoker and Tashigi, and he's like, there they are. And it's like, I was like thinking about it, and like I wonder what he's got in store for them in this last arc. Because I feel like everyone's going to be a player.
Yeah, for real.
In some way.
And Smoker and Tashigi are really important characters. There's it's one of the first big antagonists, I would say.
I was reflecting on it, and he kind of put him in a similar fashion where Smoker and Tashigi are not primary antagonists, but they're a significant force in the second arc of both the first half of the Grand Line, and then the first half of the second half, right, of the New World. So they're kind of paced in a similar way, and it feels like I remember I could be mistaken with Oda, but I think he said that the whole span of Punk Hazard through Wano was Emperor's Saga.
The Four Emperors.
It's really
saga.
just dealing with Kaido and Big Mom specifically, with Doflamingo just being a piece of that, just which kind of may have gotten away from him. I do feel like in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't feel like Dressrosa should have been that long. But I like that it was that long because there's a lot of good stuff.
It was it was one of the most ambitious arcs, I would say.
Yes.
I think it even Wano is probably more ambitious just on pure scale.
It is.
But Dressrosa, I think Dressrosa is better. But there's just so many more interesting characters and dynamics in that arc, and it feels like more of the side characters actually have something to do as compared to Wano. which I know you've kind of read some of it, like you've watched some of it.
Yeah. So with Wano, where I'm at, I could have been caught up by now easily. So I got to the beginning of Wano, and outside of the One Piece of his pirates and everything, I was like, okay, I'm gonna withhold myself from peak until I finish this Naruto video, and then that didn't really happen. I put out one part of it, and then I broke, and I was like, I'll just watch a bit of Wano, and then I was like, I'll watch a chunk of Wano and then edit a certain chunk of the video in order to watch more, like
to unlock the episodes,
piecemeal it, and kind of as a way to motivate myself to make more of it, and it didn't really work out that way. I did actually, to try to refresh myself, I watched an episode of Wano right before we recorded.
Okay, what episode are you on? Like what's happening in the story?
The last it wasn't much. So I will say you'll finally.
Is he gonna say it? Guys, pause, champ.
Gosh,
is Shaybs gonna say the One Piece pacing is bad? Guys, this is what we've been fucking waiting for, guys.
It's surprising.
Did you?
So we're at the part where Luffy fights the sumo guy.
Okay.
And he fought the sumo
guy.
That's
literally when I stopped.
That's literally when I stopped. Into the building, and Tama's being held hostage by Heldum, or Bellaboo, which is what Luffy calls him.
Yep.
And Luffy calls him that a little too much. And you did get introduced to Speed, who is the horse girl.
Yes.
She's good. That was good. I like her. And then he shows up, and then they do a little more recap. It's like, you took down my house. It's like, yeah, you recapped it already. Why are you recapping it again? And then Luffy smiles at him. He's like, you got a lion in your stomach. To be continued. So not much happened in that episode. So that was a shame.
Fun.
That was a bit.
It's Shaybs. It finally happened, man. It happened. It's the cycle of
every
One Piece fan. Okay.
This period right here, but like early Wano, like the first 5 episodes of Wano, I think, really good. Yeah. But then I'm seeing, like, in the episode count on Crunchyroll, one of the episodes is just Romance Dawn, and I'm like, I don't need that right now. I actually don't want to watch that right now. I'd rather you get on with it a little bit.
Wano is like, the anime is weird. No, I was watching because I wanted to watch it because the animation and just art style is so good.
Yeah.
But I was
and the first 2 episodes are immaculate.
Yeah, I was watching
They really.
But then I got to the part when Hawkins first shows up in the anime. And that shows exactly.
It's the whole episode.
The whole episode is like his transition. Yeah. Like his like ability doing, and it is literally like minutes of him transforming, and it is like a page of the fucking manga chapter. I went back to the chapter. I'm like, this is not this long. This is not. It's literally a page, and they took 3 minutes for the page. I'm like, oh my. It was.
But see, I don't have that high. That's why I'm not reading it. That's why I didn't want to.
If I wasn't reading it,
caught up and read it.
I would.
And I know.
Yeah.
I know this is going to happen when they get to Egghead, because I'm going to remember how fast this was, and they're going to spend a little bit more time on it. And to be honest, I think I'm excited for that, for Egghead specifically.
Yeah.
I'm sorry we're bouncing all over the place, as we do. But I think with Egghead, it is really fast.
Yeah, it's really fast.
Things are moving. So it's sort of like, I kind of am hoping that the One Piece anime is able to soak in those dramatic beats a little bit more.
Yeah. It might be a might be a plus, to be honest. Yeah.
I think it works when you're dealing with fucking CP0, right? And they're there, and you're also dealing with Vegapunk himself, and I think that worked with Zoe too, right? Because all the players are there, I think, plus these new Mink characters. But it really feels it in this section of Wano, because it's this sumo guy and this like peon, and he has Tama, and it's,
most of these characters are not going to be relevant.
Yeah, okay, right, and they're just like, you're a bit character, and it's like, okay. But if it was like a bunch of episodes with Sabo or someone, I don't know, at some point later or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what else it worked? I think I didn't feel in hindsight. I don't feel like I was feeling it in Fishman or Dressrosa, because those dragged out parts were happening in like the climax. This is happening at like the beginning. Yeah. Like this is.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
You know, sure. And it's sort of like, come on.
Yeah.
But if it's it's getting there, it's like he's beating Horty, or he is fighting Doflamingo, and it's all this dire stuff, and the bird keeps coming in closer.
Yeah.
I'm okay if there's an episode of the townspeople being panicked and shit. I get it. I think there's
that makes a lot more
those
sense.
aspects I'm okay with.
It's crazy that people. Because everyone praises the anime, right? Like everyone's praising the anime.
Yeah,
just because
I think they get hooked on the anime. I think they get hooked. They get hooked to a lot more.
The animation's great, but it's like early Wano is.
I think
yikes,
yes.
man.
I think there's certain chunks that like, especially if you look at it removed from it. If you are rewatching it, or you're intentionally looking for it, if you're like comparing it to One Piece, right? Then it's clear as day. But again, I've defended it this exact way before, where it's like, I get it. It's the series composition. It is sort of just like getting it in such a way because they know these action heavy chapters are going to go by like that. No matter what, they can't drag those out as easily as a certain scene like this. Like, oh, this is exploitable. There's certain and so I mean, I'd probably go through it in that way and try to look at it from their perspective.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective.
But but at the same time, you're right. It's sort of. And it's also frustrating, and I wish there's with Monster, that was apparently a very deliberate, specific 2 chapters per episode, like no ifs, ands, or buts, almost. And I could be wrong about that, but that's what I remember hearing.
Oh, that's cool.
That's like, it's very predictable, regimented, and it doesn't matter where, and so it's a little more of an equivalent experience. Because I would say that it takes roughly 20 minutes to read Monster, like 2 chapters of Monster specifically, because that one is a little more dramatic and has more dialogue and stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's a more one-to-one experience, whereas it's very easy with One Piece, where like you can't communicate a 2-page spread the same way you can on screen or whatever, and it's a lot harder.
It's fairly different, the composition.
Yeah.
No, for
but
sure.
I will say I've been reading the manga. I've been collecting it more. So this was funny. I don't know if I told you this, Doc, or you saw it. I don't think I tweeted it or anything. But my mom, she got me volumes 2, 4, and 5.
Yo, coming through. Nice.
Of One Piece. And I'm like, where's volume 3?
Damn. Or 1.
I have one already. I bought one.
Okay.
And then I gave her the Amazon wish list of 2, 3, 4, and 5. And she got me 2, 4, and 5. I'm like, you could have just. All right, fine.
You're missing 3, man. Oh my god.
Yeah, no. So I ordered that separately, but then she's trying to be a little more cheap and everything, and I get it. Sure.
I get it.
But
yeah.
volume 4 is a little water damaged, a little bit. The pages are a little wrinkly.
Oh fuck, that sucks.
Yeah. 5 is okay. Volume 4 is like most of Syrup Island, like they're fighting Kuro and everything. And then Volume 5 is like finishing up Syrup Island, and then the first opening parts of Baratier.
Oh, cool.
But what's interesting, I did tweet this out. Volume 2 of the copy I have, I am pretty sure is a first edition.
Oh, mint condition.
It's like the original. Not mint is a.
It's a strong word. It's a strong word.
Like there's some creases, obviously. There's like someone's writing on the
so no,
the pages,
it's not mint
like
condition.
Smita, it's not mint, but like
That's cool.
It is an early copy that like they use the word, they translate his name as Zoro, Zoro.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah, in this first edition.
That's cool.
Yeah. And
I like
the
that.
spine is different and the back is a bit different. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. I might still get a newer version of Volume 2 just for my OCD. Because,
Why is his name Zoro in this one and
No,
Zoro in the next one? What am I going to do?
But even in the, like, you put them all together, the newer volumes, they have, like, the saga or the arc on the spine, which is really nice. And the early volume does not have that.
Yeah, I have a bunch of... I don't know how many One Piece... I probably have, like, 10 or so volumes.
Oh yeah.
But they're all sporadic. Like it was when I
yeah.
was first catching up to One Piece.
Cool.
I have like the first volume. Yeah, I have like a bunch of Dressrosa volumes. I have like a Summit War one, like a Marine Corps
nice.
one.
Yeah.
I think I have an Alabasta. I have no idea.
That's
it's
cool.
like it's a bunch of sporadic ones that I just whatever was at like the fucking bookstore, I guess.
Oh, I hear you. No, that's good.
Oh yeah, the logos are completely
so
different.
You guess which one is different?
I wonder which one is the different.
Yeah. So
it's not as different as what I think, but it's still
noticeable.
enough.
It's enough. Right.
Yeah.
But that's fine. Yeah, but reading it is different, because
It's a lot different. Yeah.
it really is like efficient. He really is very. I think he might be. Maybe he's less efficient in subsequent volumes because obviously Alabasta ends up being longer and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And maybe in that way the anime is not as noticeably dragged out. Because I mean everyone gets hooked. I think with the anime more so. We've been sending each other those. This one guy has been compiling a certain Twitch streamer.
A certain Twitch who will not be named. We can't name him. Too controversial.
No, I
It's fucking Hasan Nabi.
Yeah, the political man. He's been watching One Piece, and this guy's been editing them in such a way that like there's installments, episodes, and he has the title card. And the editing is really good.
Yeah,
actually.
it's edited like a One Piece episode, but it's
right.
Hasan talking about One Piece. It's like
he's
dumbest.
like, I'm watching it, and he's like, it's good. Or
Shaybs and I send each other the newest episodes.
Yeah, we gotta catch up,
Gotta catch up on the shitty One Piece takes.
Yeah, but like it's been all right. And then the latest episode was funny because he's like, oh my god, is that how it starts? Where he was like about to instinctually type in like, oh, actually One Piece is super good to like somebody, like he was gonna respond to someone, and he's like, oh my god, am I turning into one of them? Is this how it happens? And it's like, yeah.
It's truth, man. You're gonna resist it, but then you watch it and you're like, okay, man.
It's like, oh my gosh. And I keep getting recommendations for these videos for like, I just started One Piece and whoa,
It's crazy.
Yeah, and it makes me.
Can you believe the highest selling manga of all time is actually good? What? That's crazy.
And I keep getting a little resentful because I'm just like, I should have done that. It's that easy, huh?
That'll get tired at some point, though.
It would, yeah. Well,
yeah.
I'm okay with not doing it. It's fine.
But I guess every couple years there's always the new wave of people getting into the series. That just means more. Like I've seen that a lot, where it's like a new One Piece fan will just rise in the YouTube sphere, like out of nowhere, like
Rylan Ludwig or something.
Like just like people like out of nowhere, just become One Piece fans and then just like become really big parts of the community. Like Totally Not Mark is like a pretty big example of that because he was like not even part of the community. But
Totally Not Mark.
Just his series reading through.
Same thing with it's this booktuber, and then she was like
the book.
Yeah,
the book.
And then she was like invited to fucking Reverie and everything, which I realized that happened today. I believe I didn't watch it.
Oh yeah, I don't think I've ever watched one of those, but I know some of the people in there. It's cool. I'm glad the community's still thriving. That's nice.
Yeah, it's neat.
Well, I guess it's bigger than ever, right? Like it's so big in the West now. It's like
it must be insane. Surreal for you guys who are just like, you don't get it. Can you believe, Jack? The last time we recorded, the One Piece is real was a big meme.
Oh my god, I hate it now. Oh my god, I hate it. Oh my god, the One Piece. It was funny, and then that's what happens with memes, man.
Yes.
That's what happens with fucking memes. The normies get it and they ruin it. They ruin my fucking memes, and now I can't say it anymore. Because then I will cringe internally.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, when I went to One Piece Film Red, which we can talk about now.
Yeah, let's do it.
This is like when I went to go see One Piece Film Red. Like I'm back in Canada now, but I came it was like the first week I was back in Canada with my friends.
Yeah.
And this is when the One Piece meme, like the One Piece is a real meme, is completely dead. Like this shit is long gone. It's been like almost a month.
Yeah.
It's in the dirt, but it's still really popular because people like to repeat things.
Yeah.
As these memes start to be. So we enter this theater, and I'm ready to watch. I was excited. Like the last One Piece Stampede was really good. I was like, okay, this might be good.
Right.
And these 4 white dudes sitting behind us tap us on our shoulder and they yell, "The One Piece is real!" Ha 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 ha! And they all laugh, ha 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 ha! And then I just sink into my chair. I sink in pure agony into my chair.
Dude, I would move seats. I would it's like, excuse you, and
like,
then I'd get up.
I was with my other friends. My 2 other friends didn't respond, but my cousin who I was with played along. He was being sarcastic about it, but they didn't understand that.
Oh.
And I think that was a forewarning for this terrible fucking One Piece movie that I was about to watch, because that was I was dumbfounded how much I disliked this movie.
That's too bad.
I don't know what your thoughts are. I know it's
Quite
like
the
praise.
opposite, Jack.
Everyone loves it. Everyone loves
yeah,
this
I am
stupid
one of those
movie.
people, Jack.
Everyone loves this
have you
stupid
seen
movie.
Have you seen it once or twice?
I saw it once.
I've seen it twice.
I saw it once, and Luffy was like, Shanks was a good guy when he abandoned his daughter. Luffy said that.
What are you talking about?
When he abandoned his daughter? He abandoned
Luffy
his
said
daughter.
that? Luffy had no idea Shanks was there.
What do you mean? No,
he had no idea. He found out at the end of the movie.
No, that's not what I'm saying. No, that's what I'm saying is that about Uda's backstory. About
Uda's backstory. Yeah.
It doesn't matter if. What do you?
You said Luffy said that, and I was like.
Luffy did no. Luffy didn't say that verbatim. He's
believing that Shanks. He's believing steadfastly that Shanks is a good guy. And
yes.
then he hears that like she knew about the whole this like calamity, the actual thing that actually happened. Sorry for spoilers for Red, of course. We're gonna talk about it. He found out about it, and then Luffy's like, "See, he is a good guy." And Luta's like, "It does not matter. I'm already past that point now. I found out about it like a long time ago, but I'm still moving forward with this because everybody was expecting that out of me."
Yeah, but I just disagree with that
Mhm.
statement. That
that Shanks is a good person.
After he abandoned her.
Yeah.
Like he abandoned
after he saved her and the whole time.
After he saved her and then just left her in a life of loneliness, which led her down a path that wanted to destroy the world. I just think it's a very weird plot idea. It didn't really work for me.
Yeah.
I thought it was very weird. And
sure.
Just seems like a short-term fix, I guess. Well, it's just something to keep off Shanks's conscience, I guess.
I think it was really he talked to Uta. It was like, I don't really want you doing what we're doing, being on this ship. I think it's sort of like he sees where he's going with like he doesn't say this explicitly, right? But I'm reading into his character where he doesn't want the same life for Uta that he had, and you see that where like you find out that he was a stray kid that Roger picked up the same way that he picked up Uta, and he sees the parallel, and so he doesn't really want the life for her, and so he sees this like music island that she's thriving in and everyone loves her, and he's like, you should totally just stay here, you know, you should totally like become a big singer.
I get that. Yeah.
And then she obviously doesn't want to. She's a kid, she's stubborn, she just wants to be with Shanks. And he uses this opportunity to get away from her, and it is cruel. It is really like it's rough, and of course that like psychologically damages her. But it is something that like, and I think she ends up kind of understanding that where Shanks is coming from, especially
I understand it in the way before the Tot Musica like invaded her body and like destroyed everything. I understand what Shanks is doing when there was a lot of people on the island. Mm-hmm. And it was thriving.
Yeah.
But then the entire island is destroyed. All these people are killed. There was only one ugly old man to treat Uta to be with.
Doesn't really matter whether he's ugly or not, Jack.
I just want to point out he's an ugly old man, so he's not even nice to look at, first of all.
Sure.
He's a funny character. He's a fun character.
Yeah.
But Shanks could have just brought her to another island and done the same thing, and she could have had a nice life that was not filled with loneliness and sadness.
Yeah.
And they're leaving
I think that's fair.
I that's what I'm thinking. I'm just like,
you think the plot's a bit, you feel like the conflict is a bit contrived.
Extremely contrived. I facepalmed when these revelations occurred. I don't know. It was I don't know.
Do you suppose there's a different way they could have, a mechanism storytelling wise, that they could have figured that out? Because I can't think of.
I guess I
can't really think of much.
I also just didn't really like Uta.
That's a shame. Yeah,
that's also
like
part of it.
Yeah.
I didn't like her. I didn't like the singing. I didn't know it was a musical.
Oh, you didn't know it was a musical?
Nope, nothing.
Oh,
I knew nothing.
Yeah. So I mean, I knew it was, and I had warned by the people I went with that it was a musical. I think to have the right expectations that it was.
That's good. I had no idea.
And I think it ends up. I think once you know that going into it, especially again, I think you should rewatch it. Really, I think. You should.
I don't know.
I got a kind of I got a probably had a bad theater experience too.
No, it was fine. It was only the beginning of it. Afterwards, it was. Joke.
But because I mean, you had that, and then like the first what 5 minutes you have this musical number, and it's a full musical number. That's the most
Yeah.
musical it gets. And so I get having a kind of a vitriolic, and then you're on your back foot, right? And then that I feel like that.
Well,
I
I
think that
was
happens. No,
I was
fair.
basically trying to like it for most of it, but then I
Sure.
just like, and then I
Sure.
just slowly just the way the plot moves forward. I just it felt too long. Also,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wow.
It was a couple months ago. I don't think I'm gonna rewatch it.
That's fair.
I really dislike the singing. I
Yeah.
don't like I'm not
Dude,
a VTuber
I was,
guy.
I was
It's
fucking-
basically VTuber shit, and I was like, I don't want the VTuber garbage. I'm not paying like $15 to go watch a VTuber video.
Dude, I guess
I'm good. I'm good.
No, you're
Oda.
right. No, that's fair. That's funny.
Yeah.
No, it's funny. I get that. I think it works for me because
No, I get it. Yeah. no problem,
it wasn't like I think this was a little more acclimated to VTuber shit. I'm not saying I like listen to Morgan Calliope or something. I'm not.
You're not that level
like
of
I'm not
cringe.
that deep. I'm not. But I mean, I had listened to some of the songs. I had seen the trailers. I was absolutely hooked by the trailer song, which ended up being the main theme. And then there was a music video that had come out. I think they had a music video for all of them, but I didn't watch all of them. But I did watch the one that was directed by Megumi Ishitani, who was the director of that one really good One Piece episode, One Piece 1015.
Oh yeah. Is that
You
the
remember
Yamato
that?
one?
Yeah, of the of
Yeah,
like
that one's sick. Yeah,
seeing
yeah.
her, the backstory and everything.
Yeah,
and
so
then,
cool.
And then I think that's the same one of adapting Chapter 1000.
Oh, cool.
I was
cool.
acclimated to. I've seen that music video, and that music video is fantastic. And I don't know. I just like the song a lot, and so I guess going in with that with those expectations and everything, it really nailed it for me. I think, especially a lot of the. I know some people had some problems with like some of the animation and action being a little fast. There's a lot of things that go by really quick. If you recall, like that final action scene,
Yeah,
there's a lot of
that
stuff
was-
going on, and you're like, there's like half the characters doing things are people we've never seen or knew were a thing. It's all Shanks's crew,
Yeah, monkey guy and stuff.
and you're like, wait, who the fuck? Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're doing this crazy shit. I found that I did end up finding it exciting. Again, I was more wrapped into like the whole musical aspect of it as well, and then how it turns into the original One Piece OP during that scene, and I don't know. I think there's certain emotional beats that they really nailed, and again, I think it's just like super exciting to have this sort of very pivotal character. It's not like this like other One Piece movies and filler movies in general. They have to have the villain, but also the character that's original that is kind of the one to pull you through and like
Yeah.
this guy I'm supposed to care about. It's like whatever. Uda manages to like the fact that she's both that villain character and that central emotional core, as well as being like canonically like being Shanks's daughter and everything, and having this like really significant tie-in. It was just like really brilliant for me. I think they nailed it. I think, but I get with like with backstory and certain things, it like it's especially I can imagine it's especially disappointing for One Piece where the backstories almost don't miss.
Yeah,
I can't think
like-
of a single backstory in the story itself that actually has any like, oh, that's weird or anything. Like all of them are
I'm so
like
dumbfounded by
flawless.
it.
All of them are flawless.
It's
It's not that Oda
was
wrote
weird.
this one. He didn't write this movie.
But people
did-
think he does. People always
He
think because
he approves of all of the like. Can we use Shanks? Yes. Can we have they're like? Actually, I remember watching a behind the scenes of One Piece Film Red that Toei released. That was like I think it was Oda's idea to make her Shanks' daughter. And he's like, why don't you make her, or like, why don't it's someone that's close to Luffy, like they knew her in childhood, and stuff like that. And so it was ultimately his idea. But the actual like mechanics and writing of that, I can understand if it's not Oda specifically, because he has to worry about the main story proper.
yeah, because they say like it's always like original story
Yeah.
by Oda because
Well,
he gives
his characters and everything.
yeah,
of course.
it's he usually comes up with characters and stuff. It's like the same with that One Piece Odyssey thing. Like,
yeah. Right.
people get confused by that. Like people get really Oda. They're like Oda wrote this. Oda he does not
Yeah.
have the time
No.
to be writing a full screenplay movie.
No, I don't
just
think he was credited for script or anything. I don't even think that was the case for the first time he was a little more involved. I'm sure I'm sure there's interviews and stuff about his decision to do that, but I think he talked about it with Aoyama where he's like, ever since I was willing to do that for that first movie, they kind of expect that for every subsequent movie. But I think that's fair because it does give them a little bit more legitimacy than other filler movies. I think the other filler movies, it's just sort of like, they obviously each one has their own narrative to it, right? Where like Hero Academia, they've been kind of finding the little places to like insert it to make it seem like it's more canon, but also like there's this drama of it looks like the all the good animation staff are being taken away from the show to work on the movie, you know?
Oh yeah.
And so there's that drama, and then the TV series doesn't look that good or whatever. Can't be me. Couldn't be me. as a One Piece or Naruto fan.
It's interesting. Yeah, it is interesting how they kind of use that as legitimacy. It's like how
it's
these
a selling
like
point.
Yeah, it's like all these Oscar movies are like, based on a true story. This is this is Oda. Oda is involved. This is almost canon,
and I mean but Uda is in the manga.
Well, she's in like
a
cover
panel.
pages.
She's in a panel of the manga.
Yeah, she's in like there was like 2 cover pages of her, and I was okay.
Yes, there is.
She's a singer.
Yes, there's also like the art with like the film red. I have that as my background picture now of like the whole crew with her in it, and I'm like, that's right. That's right.
I'm just disappointed. Like he put Shanks in the story again just to advertise the movie, and I thought that shit was bad. So
it would have been bad if he wasn't in the movie that much, but he was.
Yeah,
he was in a significant portion of the movie.
He was in the movie, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't like a tease like every other thing, right? Like you hear about how Shanks is gonna show up in Summit War, and then I guess he shows up technically, like he does one thing. And leaves, you know.
He dips.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get why people like it,
dude. I totally bet Shanks is gonna run into Law.
You think?
At Elbaf.
Law?
Not Law.
Kid.
Sorry,
Or
Kid.
Kid.
I'm sorry, Kid.
Yeah, the Elbaf stuff's exciting. I'm really excited.
Yeah, that was unexpected. That out of the 3 directions, Kid goes to Elbaf.
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't deconfirm it, that they're not going there. But we'll see.
No, they're definitely going to fucking.
I would like that too, for sure.
They gotta go to Elbaf. Well, where else will they go first, right? Like.
Yeah, I don't know. Especially because they still need that last piece.
And that's where it is. So I think it's going to be a potentially really big arc, just because I think a lot of the major players are converging around there.
Yeah, well, they're converging in several places. They're converging in that Hachino's area too.
Yeah.
With Garp and I think Blackbeard and I think that's where Blackbeard and Law are fighting. Am I wrong about that? Yeah. It's something like that.
I think so.
Yeah, because they said that Kobe was captured by Blackbeard and they're at Hachino's. So.
That's Blackbeard's island, right?
So I don't know if specifically. It's
I guess it's not every major player, but it's like Kuma's coming, I guess, and
he's on the move. Yeah.
He's on the move. The Revolutionaries, I assume, will probably chase after him, which might.
If they can. I mean, he could just teleport.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah.
He's already over there. But it's like, where did they? Like, fuck. They probably. I don't even know if they know where he went. They probably still have to like worry about Sabo, if he's even still alive.
They can't kill. They can't kill Sabo again from a fake. I like
Not
how they
like
fake
this.
They fake exploded Sabo twice.
You never do it like this. You never do it to a character like
this.
No,
he's not dead. He's not dead.
Speaking of death, actually, I was reading the. I'm sorry, we're bouncing a lot. I hope it's entertaining for people, but I was reading the SBS for One Piece. They have very early volumes because I collected the volume 4 and 5, and that's where they started doing the SBS. One of the questions actually stood out to me. Where is it? It's about it's the idea of Oda not killing characters, right? And I think this does apply to his philosophy writ large. The question is, why doesn't Luffy ever kill his enemies? I reread all the manga, and he didn't kill Moji, and he didn't kill Helmeppo, or Captain Morgan, although Morgan was done in by Zolo. Why is that? Good question. First of all, Captain Morgan is still alive. He was captured by his former men and thrown in the brig. The reason Luffy doesn't kill is this. In his era, men live by their beliefs and risk their lives to defend them. Luffy shatters their beliefs, the beliefs of his enemies, by defeating them. for them to suffer defeat and to have their beliefs destroyed is as bad as death. Killing their bodies is beside the point. I feel that as pirates, Luffy and his enemies care more about victory and defeat than they care about their lives. Which is, I think, kind of plays into the earlier parts of One Piece. I don't feel like you see it as much these days, but like the idea of Luffy being completely prepared, like in the anime Kakugo, they repeat that a lot, of being like, you got to be ready to put your life down for something that you do, for believing everything. You see that with Zoro versus Mihawk being completely ready to just own it. Honor and
It plays such a big role in everything they do. Yeah, I think that's an interesting take, just specifically for Luffy not killing them, right? Like,
yes.
I think it's kind of a different situation when, say, like a Sabo
a character,
or something.
Yeah, or when
or Pell, or the guy recently when Saul comes back and Saul isn't dead. So it's like,
or specifically, I think the two that stand out to me that I'm just like, they could have died. Come on, was the Hawk guy. I forget his name. The Hawk from Pell from Alabasta. It's like, dude, you sacrificed yourself. Why bring him back? It's the end of the arc. It's the end of the arc. Like, he's not going to show up again. He hasn't shown up again. What function is he? Unless again, we have to see the end of the story. Maybe he comes back with Phoebe or something.
No, that death is literally a fairy tale death, because in every arc of fairy tale, they do that exact thing where they have a sad chapter, like oh my god, this character's about to die. Like, have a whole chapter sobbing. Literally, next chapter, they're still alive. Like, they're revived somehow. But One Piece usually don't have that, because he respects you as a human being.
Well, it happens.
But it happens sometimes.
Yeah, and the few times where he does put a big emphasis on it and the characters are mourning it is when they are actually dead. The few times where it's like, oh, yeah, they're gone. It's over.
How do you feel about the Saul thing? I was like really disappointed.
I actually really like it.
You're crazy.
Explain to me.
Defend your case.
No, yes.
Please.
Okay, so
what the fuck?
If anything, it gives Robin the W. You get that panel of her being like, oh my god, because that was the worst day of her life.
Yeah.
That was. It doesn't undercut. It doesn't remove.
I think it undercuts.
It's still the worst day of her life because her fucking mom died. It's still the worst day because their entire home was destroyed. It doesn't. I don't think unless none of that happened, unless none of that happened, then it doesn't take away from that pain and her growth and like her journey as a character. That was all the crux of it. And Saul, I think, was just sort of I think when I remember the death in that one, it felt excessive. Because I think it
doesn't.
Yeah,
Saul is like the only person that gets Robin. Like it's.
I think her mom gets her and Clover gets her.
Yeah, but Saul is like the only person she has fun with.
Mm-hmm. Like that we see. Yeah.
That we see. Yeah. It's like
and they were very very recent. But he also saves her and everything. And I get that it's undeniably sad. I'm not saying that, and I'm saying it's more like because I guess I'm coming from the fact of like more. I have that, that One Piece hindsight. Like, I knew a lot of the story beats later on as I'm watching it for the first time, right? Yeah. So my focus was on Aokiji because I knew that he's different from the other admirals. He's not evil, or there's something more complex and gray to him than just because right now he's in a very interesting spot with him being seemingly allied with Blackbeard.
Yeah, which is so weird.
Right? And it's like, what's going on, right? And I knew that he has a lot more going on about him. And I also, knowing that as well, I don't remember where the manga was. I don't think it was nearly at this point in Egghead or whatever, when I watched the scene after kind of the resolution of Eddie's Lobby, where they're back on Water 7, and they're having that party, and Robin encounters Aokiji again. And if Aokiji was actually malicious and evil and everything, he would have just fucked some shit up right there. He actually would have ruined their day, but he doesn't. So there is something more to him in that way. And so Saul being alive to me is Aokiji's doing. It's not just sort of like he miraculously lived the same way Pell miraculously lived, or the other character that I was going to say that's like, why isn't he dead, is the girl's father in Skypiea.
Oh.
Do you remember that character?
I remember him.
So that character, there's a I don't
Wiper,
remember
or is it a different character?
It's a different character. Cause
is it one of the angel people?
Yeah, it's one of the angel people, but he's
okay.
he's like the guy who was like building the
yes, okay,
the thing,
yeah,
and he overhears something, and he gets like lightning struck, like he gets like one of those like divine punishment energy blasts, like destructo blasts.
Destructo disc.
Completely eats it, and he's definitely dead. And then at the end of the arc, after everything's happened, he's alive still. It's like, why did you bring him back? He doesn't do anything else. He's just like, oh, all's well that ends well. It was like that kind of reverse death, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's a little premature of Saul being, because clearly Saul is the reason a lot of those records that they dumped into the ocean, into the lake, are on Elbath.
Yeah.
And that might be the key to some stuff, you know?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point. I do kind of like it a bit more now that you're saying it's Aokiji's doing. It's like I kind of forget that aspect.
Yeah. I'm assuming that because
I definitely didn't think it was as bad as Pell or
no. I get that. I get being disappointed too because you have a different experience with that plot point because you've had that for years.
Yeah,
like that's a year. That's almost a decade probably.
I just think Robin has
of
like
Saul,
the saddest,
of Saul like sacrificing himself almost. You know, and that's his function in the story, right?
Yeah, her backstory is like the saddest, most like cathartic, like just like so depressing, and I just would hate like to take away from that in any way. Like, yeah, I think Oda like just did so well with Robin's backstory.
Yeah, he did,
and I think
he's
so well.
I still think
I think it's still really good. I just feel like if I reread that with like especially like the Saul death scene, just like.
Yeah, the thing, and again, I think the thing is, it made sense. It also makes sense to me because if he does stay dead, we still have to know more about him. Whether he was alive or not, we need to know why he was a D.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what's going on there? How is he this like a vice admiral in the Navy and he's a D? And what's it? He just comes out of nowhere, right? In the context of that backstory, I think it depends. With the reread, I guess I get it at the moment. At the current moment we're at, rereading that, it's like it does undercut that moment. But I think when you reread it, knowing where Saul's character going to go at the end, we don't know that yet. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe we don't get anything from him, or whatever. And this is the last we hear of him. Is that he did live and everything? Then yeah, that's kind of like discipline. Like, okay, kind of a weird. You know, it depends what he does with it. I think I think it's an ongoing situation at the moment.
No, yeah, I'll be optimistic. I'm optimistic about it.
Open
I trust
the plan.
Yeah, I was pretty because I read the chapter and I just read it wrong. Like I didn't even realize he was alive. Like I just thought Robin was happy because they were talking about Saul, and then I reread the chapter. I'm like, oh shit, he's alive. What?
Yeah.
Like,
no, it's.
I read the chapter. I was like, oh, that's a really good chapter. And just like not
it didn't even
fully
register.
Understanding. Like it didn't even register in my brain.
Holy crap.
And then people were freaking out and I'm like, oh, what the hell?
Right.
Wait, I'm like,
wow.
What? He's alive? I've read the same thing I'm just brain dead.
That's crazy.
I have mass brain rot that I can't understand.
Yeah, I get it.
I can't read.
I'm pretty slow on some stuff too. If I was reading some of this stuff like on its face and then you see other people's comments and you're like, oh yeah. Where it's like, you know, it's like fucking watching Roger Space's reactions to chapters, and some kind of random thing happens in the chapter, and he's like, what was I saying 2 years ago with this guy that we were theorizing back in 2019? We're like, bro, you can't be serious.
Like, how do you have this all in your memory bank? Like, well,
that's the theory crafting, man. That's the theory.
Crazy.
Like, the theory goes hard, and Oda. I've already said this on Piss, so I apologize, but like. Oda talked about how he's like, I really wouldn't have made all these leads, you know? I wouldn't have written it in this way if I knew the internet was going to be a thing. And people would just fucking spoil it, you know? And
figure it out, man.
Because it's like very likely people have guessed what One Piece is.
Yeah.
You know? It's not like he can say whether they have or not, because then people were like, you know? But it's very likely, I think, in my opinion.
At least like some aspect of it.
Yeah.
Like maybe not entirely, because it's probably gonna be a little bit different.
There's gonna be
But,
certain things that the gap is slightly different. Yeah.
yeah, but it's probably the general idea. It's probably been
I would hope
discovered.
that if it's something different than this really well-believed theory that has 1 million viewers or whatever, I would really hope that doesn't lead people to being disappointed in the series.
It will for those people.
Yeah.
And it's just like that's such a small sect of the fan base. Like anyway, like
How
a million
ideally.
views. Like
But
a
you
million
see, it's
views.
gonna make a
like
stink. I would think that ends up making a stink because people be like, "Wouldn't this be so much better?" And they're trying to they're trying
I don't
to
want
justify.
it to be an Attack on Titan, man. I don't want
That's
it
what
to
I'm
be
worried
like
it is.
that.
I'm worried it's gonna be that. I'm
That's
honestly,
what I'm really.
Yeah,
I
don't
think
want that.
I think One Piece is such a positive, like story with
Right.
so many dick riders that I think it'll be impossible
I hope
not to have a positive perception of the ending. Because
Yeah.
if that it's because the ending is so paramount. Like I haven't realized that.
I don't know how paramount it
It's-
is. I'm still
it's
not sure.
I feel like it for a lot of series it's like so important.
It is for
Like
some series, yes, where it's like, okay, where's this going? But with, I guess, like the kind of the thing that's made One Piece one of my favorites, and the reason I was excited to do this podcast with you, and then now I'm reading it and collecting them. I've not done this for another. I haven't even done this for Ashton no Joe. I can't do it for Joe, obviously, because it's not. I can't get English releases of it. But like, I've not been this invested in anything else because of the story it's set that we already have, not because of the ending that's going to be in 5 years. I think there's so much value in like creativity and joy and like fun in the story itself that like, and he's written it for 25 years, 100 effing volumes. I think I am assuming the ending is going to be good because he has had this since the beginning. Like he's really thought he told fucking Goro Taniguchi the whole story of One Piece already, and it's like he knows what it's going to be. He's told several editors already, so even if he dies, there might be idea. Hopefully, I hope he doesn't. I don't want that, obviously, but like, I'm just saying that like there's a very likelihood that it ends the way he wants it to end. There's a very likelihood of that happening, and that is how he's wanted it to happen from the beginning. So I trust it for all those reasons, but even I'm not even putting that much stock in it because I'm just enjoying the chapter to chapter. Even reading Egghead now, it's funnier. I was watching that latest episode of that episode of Wano, and I realized there's like no jokes.
Yeah, it's lacking a bit. I think
it got.
I
way
think
too,
once
it's
you
getting
get
too
past
serious.
that, I think once you get past that bit, there's a lot of funny parts.
Yeah,
especially
I want more of the crew. I know the crew is the kind of the
It's-
source of a lot of great stuff.
Yeah, it's a little messy, man. Wano gets pretty messy for a while.
Yeah,
It gets really good, and then it gets really messy, and then it gets really good again. It's a very, it's kind of a whiplash
warped,
of an
kind of a
arc.
warped it's not a smooth like effective plate.
No.
It's like it has bumps. It's like
It's
this
got
water,
a lot of bumps.
It's like this water damaged One Piece volume I have.
Yeah, it's
where it's
yeah,
like
the-
you can
the arc
read it,
is-
but you will notice at every page turn that it is warped.
Yeah, it was like weeks on end. Like I probably talked about it on the podcast, but I
Yeah.
would literally get headaches reading the chapters. Like they were so the composition of everything was
Right.
just so terrible that I was just
I remember hearing about that and being very cynical towards One Piece about the manga specifically.
Yeah, because it was weird. I think it was during the pandemic. It was. So I'm sure probably affected Oda a lot, like it did everyone. So
Maybe.
yeah, I assume that probably affected the story, which I
It's
don't know.
also just he definitely chokes. I think he definitely like overwhelms himself with a lot of ideas, and you can tell with, at least in the anime, you can tell that he is stoked to be in Wano. Like he is so in it. Like he is absorbed. Like it's so
Yeah,
it's so
sick.
rich. It's probably the richest setting in the story.
Yeah,
I would probably say period. Yeah.
It's so well established, and all the characters really immerse themselves. Like
Exactly.
they basically they change all their names. It's such a good excuse to
Yeah.
like fully immerse in this samurai world. It it was really interesting seeing that. I like that part of Wano. a
Yeah,
lot.
and I can imagine, and I obviously don't want to like armchair psychology him or whatever, but like as someone who I can tell he loves writing this story, he loves drawing it, and he wouldn't want to be doing anything else. He like people have asked him like, what other manga would you want to be making, and he's like, I mean, anything I want to do, like a mecha series. I've been wanting to do a mecha manga, but I just made Frankie, and I just have him have a mecha, and now I have a mecha manga. Like I could put literally anything I want in this show, in this story, and I think that ends up like he probably got so overwhelmed with ideas, and he had so many concepts and things he wanted to. I want Luffy to be in a sumo match. I want Luffy to like. He probably made a list of like things he wants to have happen in the arc, and then it got like a little too
big,
out of control. A little too big, yeah. A little too many characters that like do not matter.
So many characters that don't matter. It's crazy. He just
like,
keeps introducing them.
It's like,
and
okay,
I'm like, these characters. I'm literally not gonna remember their names because these characters are not gonna matter. Like there are so many.
Yeah.
There are so many times within that arc that it happens, and I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
What the hell is happening?
And, you know, it's funny. Also, I don't remember where I saw it or somebody mentioned it or whatever. I could also be just imagining it, but I remember seeing that when he was talking about Water 7 and how like he's like, oh, I don't think I'll be able to top that. I don't think I can top that.
That was peak.
Yeah,
that was peak, guys. That's all I got.
And it's like, shoot, I might have peaked.
Damn.
Shoot. And so it, you know, and I think he has managed to still write an engaging story where it's not lopsided. It doesn't feel like One Piece is the kind of story where, oh, it's good in this arc and then it kind of goes downhill from there. I think some people could make that argument maybe with like New World or something, like after Summit War or whatever.
Yeah,
people have made that argument.
It's different.
They're wrong.
Yeah.
they're stupid
it's
and wrong
different.
and dumb
the
and wrong.
The focus of the story is fairly different,
Yeah.
but I still think it's great, and it is One Piece at its core.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
it's like so much more focused on the goal.
Yeah.
As compared to like the more fun adventures that they were having.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's kind of the response to the seriousness of Marineford. Just the.
I think so too, because it's a different world, and he changed it. And I think there's that moment in Punk Hazard when Law cuts the mountain in half, and he's like, "We just disrupted the cogs. We woke the beast up."
Yeah.
You know, and you can't just kind of frolic around and have dumb samurai adventures.
Yeah.
For long.
You can have a little bit, Luffy.
You can have a taste. You can have a bit, but
yeah,
now you gotta deal with.
You'll see.
Gotta
Luffy
deal with it.
only.
I know. I'm pretty sure I have an idea
Luffy
of what
does.
happens soon
Luffy
enough.
gets into some trouble for sure. What do you think of Vegapunk?
Oh, he's cool. That his design is very Oda. Like, oh, of course, of course.
I love the concept.
Right?
I love the concept of Vegapunk. Like you never predict it, right? Like it's it was so out of nowhere.
No, it was
because
so
Vegapunk
good.
is just such a just a figure that we've known about for so long. It's I think I saw a tweet. It was like, this is the longest a character has been mentioned to their introduction in the entire
versus
series.
versus
100%.
their nothing comes close. Nothing comes close. I don't think.
And it's. I just feel like he exceeded the expectations like so much because you just expect some old fuck, but the first aspect we see of Vegapunk is this big titty
hot girl,
evil fucking girl.
Yeah,
and I'm like what? Like it is like the perfect introduction. It's like I think it's one of the best in the entire series.
It's up there for sure.
I think it's definitely up there. It was weirdly similar to Brooke.
Yeah. No, that's a good comparison.
And like Sanji's sister, like there's weird like Oda tends to do this a lot, I guess, where it's like right before they're about to enter an island, one of the characters from the island just appears on their ship and does a funny little introduction.
Yeah, it does a thing.
It's always like Bon Clay too, like
even Wapol.
Yeah, Wapol, fucking Bon Clay, like all these. It's usually pretty good characters, but
definitely.
But no, I was surprised. I'm liking Vegapunk so far.
I like him a lot too. I like the different. There's I think the latest chapter introduced this concept of a traitor among us.
Yeah, Among Us.
Yeah, we're doing Among Us now. That's fun. That's a cool idea.
We're playing Among Us, and who's the traitor?
Because it's cool. Like I think it's a much better handling than not to make a big comparison out of it, obviously, but obviously, I can't help but compare this to Six Paths of Pain from Naruto. I don't think
Okay.
you haven't seen Naruto,
No.
right?
No, I've only seen a bit. I've seen like
Yeah,
2
yeah,
minutes,
you've kind of seen like through osmosis.
Yeah.
So Pain, the way that comes about is like, like this one guy and he's pretty serious looking, but then you see and then he has this kind of history with one of the good guys, like one of the important good guy characters. But then all of a sudden there's this different character that has similar looking hair, but and kind of has similar nose piercings, but it's a different guy, and it's like, wait, who's that? And then there's a different and then he's like, oh, I've killed Pain, and then he's like, no, there's 6 of us, and we can
What?
revive, we have a guy who can revive the person, and they were all being controlled by a consciousness or whatever, and it's like, oh shit,
Really?
and there's a whole mystery aspect to Pain's character.
Yeah,
so it's
I've
sort
heard
of
a
like
lot
who's
about Pain,
who's
yeah.
the real body and stuff. But the thing is, right, that one, those characters are characterized by their powers, and they have slightly different appearances. But like this one has guns. This one can like extract souls from people's bodies and kill them. This one can summon animals, and they're all different power sets and
But
stuff.
it's all the same personality.
But it's all
Is that what it is?
Yes, yeah, they're
That's
all being
boring,
voiced.
yeah.
They're all being voiced by the same character, who you don't see and everything. And
Oh.
yeah, and so it's like, oh, where is he? What's the real? What's his secret? What's the trick? It's like JoJo, right? Like once you find out their stand ability, then you have the possibility of defeating them.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like that, right?
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
like
yeah.
that with Vegapunk, they're completely different characters they're not characterized by what they can do or like their powers or whatever, which I feel like a lot of other shonen would do. And it's more characterized by like their function in this world, in like for Vegapunk specifically.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that one poops and eats, so that none of us have to poop and eat.
Yeah, it's like the most efficient like way. Like
Right.
It's logically what a scientist would do, and that's why it just makes sense.
And also, like a scientist, if
That's
you were
the
going to make
concept.
yourself a clone and have split their consciousness, you're going to make one of them a hot girl.
Obviously, like what the fuck are you doing, bro?
No,
And
I
it's
love
One
that.
Piece. It's one.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
You gotta
And-
meet your quota every arc, okay? We gotta. we
Oh
gotta
yeah,
have a
but
couple.
I like
We gotta have a couple.
Jewel Bonnie being in there.
Yeah.
I really like her function as having this qualm with Vegapunk and trying to kill him. That was good.
Yeah, I think she's all right. I'm not too big on her. I don't think she's.
She
like,
hasn't had a big moment like Law or
Yeah.
something. I get it. No, for sure. Or
Yeah,
or
I
Hawkins
just,
or whatever.
I just feel like really Oda really wanted us to care for him. Like there's that big panel of her crying about her father, and I'm just not really feeling much towards her, just because we've barely seen anything from her.
No,
like-
well, I also imagine it's difficult when you've known about her for a decade
Yeah.
and haven't gotten anything. you
Yeah.
know?
Exactly. No.
So
yeah.
it's like
'cause-
there's this disconnect, I guess.
Yeah, it's a weird Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a very weird disconnect. Because I was like, I like Bonnie, like we see glimpses of her, but I
Yeah.
feel no connection to her aside from she has cool double
She has
power.
and she has a connection to Kuma. I think is
To
her most interesting aspect is that she is her thing with Kuma, and then her being royalty. That like
Yeah.
Kuma was a king formerly, and everything. It's more of like we want to know more about Kuma than we
yeah,
want to know
that's
about Bonnie.
that's way
and
because
it's
Kuma
kind of
that's
finding
yeah.
out through
yeah,
Bonnie.
Kuma has that history
Yeah.
with the Straw Hats, and it's like so important. We know so much about Kuma.
Yeah, there's a lot of he's involved with a lot of compelling moments.
Yeah.
in their journey.
I feel like I would have felt more to these more emotional scenes if we knew about this connection prior, but I guess that
Yeah.
kind of ruins the surprise of it.
Yeah, I think.
So I don't know.
I think what he does. I think this is a typical thing that Oda does. Not like I'm a scientist or anything, but like I feel like that what he does is introduce the emotional crux first, and then gives us everything around it and recontextualizes it, and then gives us another even
Yeah.
more powerful emotional moment.
Yeah. Okay, now that you're putting it like that. Okay. Maybe I will. Maybe I will.
But I agree that like the Bonnie scene of her looking literally exactly like Robin's "I Want to
Yeah,
Live," like she
that-
looks identical.
That was
it's a
the
little
disconnect.
strong. It's
That
a
was-
little strong.
That was the
yeah.
I'm thinking to like the Nami scene when she's crying and Luffy puts the hat on her, and I'm like, this ain't the same thing, man.
Yeah, yeah.
This Bonnie ain't
You
stabbing her
you didn't
arm.
get the build up, right?
Yeah, we didn't get the build up, but I definitely believe I'll probably care about Bonnie more going
Well,
forward.
yeah. Once we find out with like her thing
Yeah.
with Vegapunk and like Vegapunk explaining things more, I actually am appreciative that it's so fast and yet he hasn't done the big punches yet. You can feel
Yeah.
that he hasn't really. Okay, here's what's going on. Here's
Yeah.
here's the whole thing. It leaves this. It's a tension. It's sort of like a weight hanging over the whole thing while all this crazy shit's happening. While as you mentioned, he's pulling out of that story to focus on Kid or Garp and these other characters. It's so compelling. It's a ride, dude.
It's a ride. It's really good. It's like
Yeah.
I'm just surprised, because at first I was worried. I'm like, because when he made that statement after Wano ended that he's gonna try and streamline.
But this
it
is the
more.
final. This is the final arc.
This is the
Get
final
ready.
arc.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get to the end, but
Yeah.
I'm just thinking if all of One Piece was paced like this, man, like I love the story. I think
Forget it.
it's like it's my favorite story ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is just like on a week to week basis. This is so engaging.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Like I haven't been this engaged. It's also I think partly because it's a new arc and it's new.
Yeah,
That's,
of course.
That's what makes it fun. Because
Yeah.
you get the fucking arc fatigue after like 3.5
yeah. Oh,
years.
that's that King Recon video. Is that meme he did? Did you see that?
Yeah, yeah.
Where he's just like, "Let's go, Fishman Island." And he's like, "Oh, finally, we gotta go. Finally finish. Let's go, Punk Hazard." It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Oh, fucking finally, we finished Punk Hazard."
That's exactly how it is. It's weird.
It really is. It's so funny.
Because we're not supposed to read these. It's meant to binge, but this one feels a lot more digestible.
That's hard.
On a
That's-
weekly basis.
That's always interesting, right? Because on one hand, I agree with you because it's like the only people that are going to be reading it week to week are the people right now, but the story is going to exist writ large for many years afterwards, where there's going to be plenty of people who don't read this week to week, and they'll be experiencing it differently.
Exactly. Probably
Yeah.
a better way, but I don't know.
We're not sure. I think it's time will tell, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it's like a different, maybe not a better way. I guess just a different experience because they don't get to
different,
revel
yeah.
in the community while it's happening, right? Like
Yeah, that too.
it's
for
like
sure.
such a big disconnect. But you get to, I guess, see.
There's good and bad with not engaging with a community too, because I feel like
exactly.
again with a community there's this tsunami. I feel like when I'm sure you've experienced this when you were, would it be right to say for you that like you're not as in tune with the community as you were a couple years ago?
I watch videos, but I don't really talk to One Piece
As much as you may have in the past.
Yeah. I
Like
keep
you
with
were
some
like-
people, but it's like
Yeah. So I just was like, because I'm thinking like that. So say there's something that happens in a chapter that's super controversial, right? That's like a story beat that's like, nah, I don't know about that, Chief. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
exactly.
right.
Uh-huh.
And it keeps happening in week to week, and it becomes a bigger deal than it probably was in the grand scheme of things.
Exactly.
If you were binging through it, you're just like, it gets resolved. That thing that like hangs in the air. That's like, what about that? Like, oh, that's such a bad. Like, what the fuck are you doing, Oda? Right? But he resolves it like a few weeks later, and then that was kind of exasperated, and people were exhausted, and it's probably like, it's still considered kind of a bad idea or a bad choice, even though he fixed it. Even though it's like, oh, now we know where we're going. But that was exasperated. But now that when you don't have that like community and like everything like that, you go through it and like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, sure. Or it's like, that's weird. The positive or negative emotions aren't as strong. It's like if you have like a lithograph or like those charts that like chart whether you're lying and they scribble like really high, like it's really intense waves. When the community is there and it's all buzzing with activity, and then when it's silent, it's more of a streamlined, steady flow, and so you're not experiencing the terrifying highs and lows, but maybe you get kind of a more
you don't have that doubt, the week of doubt. Is he gonna fix this?
Right.
And then it's just you're talking to these people or watching these videos of someone criticizing it, and you're like, oh yeah, this is bad writing.
Yeah.
No,
it's
so up to context there, because like that's exactly what you're saying. Like if someone reads One Piece like whenever it's like 5-6 years, whenever it ends, like they don't ignore the community. Like a lot of even the things we mentioned during this podcast, like discussions we had, like the Saul thing, like
it's all gonna feel very
solved.
like
It's
Very,
all it's all based in the now,
mhm.
as compared. I think that's what makes it talking about it so engaging, though. It's just
Definitely.
the future of it.
It's its
But-
own. It's its own form of fun.
Yeah, I just hope a lot of these criticisms don't like kind of stigmatize the series, because
Yeah.
I felt that before. Like one of my
Yeah.
favorite shows, like Steven Universe, I've like made
Yeah.
videos on in the past.
Yeah.
And that show has so much stigma now just because of the way it was released. And
Yeah. And
like,
the way people the certain
interpret it.
videos
yeah,
leave a
certain
big
videos came
stain.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
And just lie about the series, but I'm not gonna shit on the videos. But
there's
just completely
that
lying.
like there's
Yeah.
that impact that Pedantic Romantica made a video about when Digi put out the SAO video that like completely tanked the reputation.
Exactly.
It was so interesting how like everyone was pretty in an agreeable position that the show was pretty good.
I remember this video.
And
yeah.
and even when like you, I mean, I didn't like it. I
I also-
for the record, I watched it one day and I was frustrated by certain aspects here and there. But
yeah, I
like,
feel you.
you know, but by and large, it's not a terrible show. It's really
Yeah.
not like awful.
It's pretty mid, and then it gets like pretty.
It has
bad.
certain like really questionable poor elements to it, but like compared to like a lot of vapid and nothing burgers and like not even that interesting looking or not have the redeeming qualities or whatever, it was fairly well regarded. And then this video comes out, and you noticeably see the review bombs, and then they see that the success of that video, and more people try to replicate
Yeah.
that success, and it becomes a snowball effect. And you literally see this over and over again with certain shows like High Guardian Spice had that happen with it's like, oh, we got a stinker, we got a Viewmaker, you know, or Velma right now. Velma right now, I think
I'm
is
the
gonna
problem, Shapes, is what you're
you
saying.
got
I'm the
yes.
problem.
Well, you I know you, I
Spilling
mean,
the milk is the problem. Just
look,
say it.
it's not
just-
saying milk's the problem. I'm saying milk is like
it's part of the
tapping
social.
into that. But I like
yeah.
that you guys are also watching good shows like Owl House.
Yeah, it's
You know,
like, I
you're
don't
at
even
least
hate Velma. Velma
yeah,
is not near like I laugh at Velma many times. Like it's like
Yeah.
I hate when these like hate mobs sort of come because it like it's such a mass like mob mentality of just
Yeah.
like denouncing any part of a show.
Yeah.
And it's like the same thing with High Guardian Spice, Velma.
Yeah.
There are good parts to these shows. Like they are
Yeah.
not good shows,
Right.
but it is not the bottom of the barrel
Yeah.
like cartoon anime. Like it is there are parts of High Guardian Spice which are like actually endearing. There are characters
Yeah.
that are actually like well written, surprisingly.
Right.
And it's just contrasted by this like this initial it's always like an initial wave of hate
Yes.
that
yeah.
you can almost never recover from.
No.
That
Very
is-
rarely. I
It's
don't-
such a big part of the internet now. It's just like
Yes.
that Twitter
You have
Twitter
to
and, like,
decide. There's a
Facebook.
judgment call. There's like a where does this show fall? Is it one of the good ones or one of the bad ones?
Yeah.
You
It's
know, it's all very polarizing.
yeah, it's like Wonder Egg Priority, for instance. Like
Yeah.
like that's one I think about a lot because I love that show.
Yeah.
The last episode is just bad, and they
Right.
did. It's mostly bad because they didn't get to continue. it.
Yeah.
like
And
that's
most people like completely turned on it.
yeah completely turned on the show. Where the
Yeah.
first 12 episodes are amazing, like just a great, well-written show that I think like every anime fan should probably watch. Like it
Dude,
addresses
fucking
so many
Tokyo
social
Revengers
issues.
was on the was like the talk of the town for a good while there. And
Oh,
then
did people fall off that too?
yeah, God, it's this shit stinks.
Yeah, what happened? I don't even know what happened with that because
I-
I watched the first couple episodes and hated it. So I didn't
Well,
really-
yeah, I mean, it ended up being that like I think the first chunk that the anime ends up adapting is decent, and it was different enough that like it ends up getting this wave of like positive reception. But
Yeah.
the moment that it finishes, and people continue to read on, I kept seeing tweets of people posting panels from it. They're like, "Hey, what the fuck?"
It's, like,
right?
really
That's
bad.
like really whack, or it's like Rent a Girlfriend or something, where it's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
stop! This isn't even funny. This isn't even like funny to try to like go at, you know."
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
there's these judgment calls, and there's these, and then it becomes like a consensus, and like you're sheep. You
Yeah,
know,
we're all sheep to the social.
yeah.
Like we all
Yeah.
want to be a part of it, right? Like we,
Yeah.
like whether or not like you disagree with it. Like obviously you can have your personal opinion, but
Right.
there's always this like social pressure, especially
Yeah.
online, just to kind of conform to some like
There's like
some
the pressure
idea.
to be like, you know, really Bocchi the Rock is one of those that like completely took that positive momentum, right?
Yeah,
It's like it's this glowing thing, and I personally thought it was okay. The visual aspects.
It, yeah.
I'm sorry to make it like it's a review of Piss Pirates, but
no,
like,
this is interesting. But
to me, right? Like, this opinion is like middling, and it wouldn't get me many likes or whatever, right? But it's something that where like I thought the visual elements are great and inventive, but the voice performances are not as good as the other shy kid. Like, it was funny that fall season had Suletta, Bocchi, and Kobeni in the same season of these like really popular anxiety-ridden socially awkward like nervous girls or whatever, and I thought Suletta was a way better character for that than Bocchi.
Okay, I don't even know if
I wasn't as so Suletta is from Mercury, the Gundam show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah the majority of Bocchi is in her head. Like, there's a lot of internal dialogue of her thought process, and that's what a lot of people are relating to, being like, OMG, it's me, or you know. A lot of people can relate to it or just find it endearing. And it's contrasted to me with Suletta, who I love because she has way more of these social, high-pitched, like, stuttering and nervous tics and everything, but that contrasts with her talent as a pilot and everything, and her importance to the story and everything. But you don't get in her head. You might get one or two lines, but it's not primarily in her head. So you're just kind of watching her as this anxiety-ridden character, and you're not sure what she's gonna do. You're not sure what she's thinking, how she's gonna react, and everything. That's way more compelling to me than Bocchi being kind of like seeing it through, and you're kind of like in the train car with her.
You're with her as compared to just watching.
Instead of just watching with the whole. I don't know. That's just. But that's such a nuanced, like, complicated take, right? That's not gonna get me 100,000 views or something.
No,
whatever, right?
Yeah. People.
I can't just say Bocchi's like mid or something, or like. I mean, I wouldn't even call Bocchi mid, right? But then I would have to be funneled to having to call it mid or something, flashy or kind of big to get people's attention, to get people to. It's all about that traffic. It's all about
it's all about the and it's like if you say you try and stray away from that like general opinion, it's almost like most people try and put you in a camp, and it's like
yes,
it's annoying.
Oh, if you like that show, if you're gonna defend fucking Onimai, if you're gonna be on the side that like actually this show's pretty cute and blah, 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 and defend it, you're one of those perverts.
Yeah, it's
or like okay, they judge you for it, right?
You watch One Piece, you're a fucking Chad. Okay, bitch. Okay,
that's right.
Like
it's the correct opinion.
It's
like
literally
One
the
Piece.
correct opinion. Yeah, it's
it's sort of that just makes me think, man. It just makes because it's you think there's other opinions like that where it's like I actually hated that show or I actually really love that show, that makes you be like, oh, like, what else? What other shitty opinions do you have?
Yeah, it's annoying.
It colors it, right? It colors the person.
I hate it because it's especially if I disagree with like a mass opinion or something out there, and then it's like trending on Twitter,
right?
Like the movie Glass Onion. I don't know if you watched that
or
one. Or
you, like you said earlier, with you not liking Film Red.
Yeah, it's kind of like film. I didn't see a lot of Film Red discourse. I saw a couple people saying they liked it. I remember. I think I tweeted that I hated Film Red or something, and I got like a few responses of people disagreeing with me, but it was more civil because I think I don't really. Most of my tweets are just memes. Like it's just
exactly. Yeah.
And when I throw an opinion out there, it's just more. I feel like the circle of people who follow me on Twitter aren't really argumentative. So
no, for sure.
I guess I wasn't exposed to that, but I definitely saw like.
You know what it is, Jack. I think it's you've pitted yourself as not someone whose opinions matter. No offense.
No,
that sounds bad, but you know what I mean, right? Where like
I get you.
Like someone like I don't think he listens to this, but like critical or something.
Yeah.
Where like if he likes it, oh boy, it's like I don't know. It's sort of like it's a boon. Versus if he doesn't like it, watch out. He'll
it's a perception thing for sure.
Yeah, or like why, or your movie sucks or something. Someone that like pits themselves as a critic, and you have not framed your online persona you've not assigned value to your person as an internet person to your opinions. You've not coupled those things together. Whereas I
Yeah.
think there are some people where that's like their personality. Of not to say that that's Critical's personality, of course. Of like
It's just part of it. Yeah.
It's just more of like it's assigning how much value you put on of you liking something or not. It's like, oh, what's this person's take on it, right? I
yeah.
feel
You go to these certain these,
Anthony
these
Fantano
outlets.
for music.
Yeah, Fantano or like Donkey and
Yeah,
Critical.
Donkey is another one. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's. I guess that makes sense. I guess I didn't really think of that, but now it does make sense to me now.
Where so then it's like the pushback isn't as intense, I guess. Whereas there's stakes if Donkey gives a negative review of this game.
If he shits on Xenoblade again, and then Twitter bursts
Makes
into
a
flames,
stink, right?
because the anime community
poo-poo,
is terrible. Is
flings
terrible.
poo around, right?
Oh my God.
Everything's
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah, it's weird.
But I get it because it's like he can hide behind the defense of, oh, it's just one guy's opinion, and Fantano does the same thing. It's it's just my opinion, right? Or
Yeah.
like, oh, and it's like, oh, it's just memes, it's just for fun or whatever. But no, I think people do put serious stock in their opinion because of how frequently they put out these reviews. They're very thought out, and like it's like Roger Ebert, like as a serious movie critic, right?
Yeah,
and it's a big deal when he gives a negative review for a popular film and goes against the grain. And Siskel, actually, I listen to their fucking interviews all the time, and he says like it sounds counterintuitive for critics to require bravery and be courageous, because they have to actually communicate how they feel. They can't just go with the flow of popular consensus. They really have to be authentic and say what they truly feel. And if they really didn't get the movie, despite how popular it is, or despite how critically acclaimed it is elsewhere, they're gonna get that heat. And it's sort of it's a responsibility you have.
Yeah, it's
and
integrity.
you have to take that seriously. It's
a different layer of integrity. You kind of have to assign yourself and stay consistent to. Because especially if you're hypocritical in that way, like I feel like a lot of people find Donkey on that, where it's like he maybe he compliments one game in one way, and then like I guess I don't have an example, but it's trying to be consistent as a reviewer as compared to someone just throwing their opinion out like I do, I guess.
No, sure. A lot of people, like normal people.
Like normal people. We're not critics. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's why I think when people, I feel like it is my parents or someone may have mentioned at one point that I was a critic. And I was like, oh God.
You're AniTube Digest, man. You're the critic.
I am a critic of videos.
But
it doesn't mean I make videos about anime.
Yes.
But then a digest is a different thing, which again, I do want to be transparent, and I try to communicate that too, where I'm like, I know that this sounds like I'm going against one thing. I'm saying this is good in this video and this is bad in this other video and I'm trying to figure out those nuances and what's bothering me about this one that didn't bother me in this other video. I'm trying to be more upfront, and it's a learning process. I'm sure other critics would say the same thing.
Yeah.
They can't just push off the critic. I get it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's my opinion. Yeah.
Right. Like, hey, come on.
I think at the end of the day it is, but your opinion inherently has value just because of your history and your audience. I think.
Exactly. The audience you develop. Yeah. And the people that listen to you on the regular. Yeah. And trust check this guy out. And check this movie out. Spend your money on this album or this game.
Yeah. If I could steer it back to One Piece,
please.
I haven't seen a lot of this sort of thing happening.
I can't stomach it, which is sad, because like initially the idea of Fist Pirates was I was gonna hate watch a lot of of videos, but I was like, no, actually I don't want to do that.
I love it too much. Yeah, it's
right. Yeah, it's too pure.
I guess I just don't see a lot of that sort of hate, or that like one of my friends is more like, he caught up recently. During the pandemic he caught up.
Yeah.
And he is more, I guess, critical of the series than like most people. I think it's mainly because it's weekly, but also it's just like I feel like that is my negative perception of it,
Yeah.
is just hearing my friends' opinions, and it's
Oh yeah.
definitely a way more civil manner than just like seeing like some video essay of some dumb fuck talking about it for 5 hours. I feel there's a lot more respect and just overall love for One Piece as compared to some of these other series, just the longevity of it.
Yeah.
If say like one like aspect of the story were to, be very controversial, I still think there's going to be a large majority of people who will.
I think so too,
support it.
because they get that at the end of the day he's coming from a good place. They try to get him on like things that have nothing to do with One Piece. Like they always try to get Oda on being sympathetic or on speaking terms, or supporting other people who IRL have done horrible things.
Yeah, like
even like
Rurouni
Watsuki.
Kenshin guy.
Yeah, though like I don't think anyone. It's like people don't know. It's like people don't bring up the fact that he was his assistant. Watsuki, that's his like sensei.
Yeah, that's how he got his career.
That's literally
that was
how
the
he got his
steps.
That's how he fucking developed, and that's how we got One Piece at this point. I think there's like obviously he's going to be on his side. Like even no matter how like wrong that actually is. Like it's not a good look. Like you should probably but like you just have to come at it from the person's
it's definitely the
perspective,
wrong thing to do, for sure.
Yeah, it's the wrong thing to do.
And if it was
like
say an American comic, he probably would distance himself, because I just think the cultures are so different.
Yeah.
Like I guess Japan.
There's more. There's more out of a sense of respect, of course, where it's like it's your elders and stuff. I think.
Yeah.
Not to generalize, but
yeah. In comparison to like any like nowadays any like controversy will occur, like say a band member or something, they're like immediately kicked out or something. It's
exactly. You know what's funny? I didn't realize this whole time I haven't mentioned my opinions on Whole Cake Island.
Oh yeah, let's talk about Whole Cake. I like Whole Cake.
Whole Cake.
I don't know what you think of it.
I loved it. Of course.
He loved it. Wow, what a surprise, guys. What a surprise. Comment 1 if you were surprised.
But I did have a issue with it. That does put it down. That does put it below like it's about the same, I would say, as Dressrosa maybe. But it's that
high praise? No Usopp, and you put it.
Yeah, not like Usopp's one of my favorite. I like Usopp a lot, but like I was okay without him being there.
No Usopp. Okay, man.
Oh well, no, I know, but like my issue with it was the ending.
The ending?
He didn't have he didn't stick it the way he's able to do it with all the other arcs. I felt like there's the one moment that like caps it off,
For sure.
whether that's and it doesn't necessarily have to be the bad guy being defeated. He's had Mary going, Mary burning, or Kuma and Zoro, nothing happened. Dressrosa was like, I think Dressrosa was a couple of ones, but I would say in that instance, it was definitely Doffy finally going down.
Down.
But even the ending of that one with Fujitora, and that whole sequence
with Fujitora
was really great.
And it's the Straw Grand Fleet. Like it's a bunch of things. It's
Zoe has a good ending. Like they all jump off the elephant together. Like that was all fun. And there's
now that
certain
you're saying
moments.
this, there's nothing.
There's certain moments, but then Whole Cake, they get away, and it's after like there's several moments where that could have been that moment with Luffy taking down Katakuri, or Big Mom eating the. I expected that the moment was going to be Big Mom eating the cake, but the problem was that she just kept going afterwards. She ate the cake, and now she's sane again, and she's like, all right, now I'll go capture them, and then she goes out to try to capture them. And they don't make it. They just get away. It's like, oh, okay. I would have thought she eats the cake and actually, like, gets knocked out from how good the cake is.
Yeah.
And that's because that was the whole thing of, like, there's no way that Sanji could make that good of a cake that could, like, do that to her. And he's like, watch me. And it is a good cake, and she does, like, it does snap her out of it, so that's a success in its own way. But the fact that she's like, all right, I'm okay again. Now let's go capture the sword. It's like, oh, okay. And like Jinbei, I thought it was a really,
it's weird.
I'm not a fan of Jinbei staying behind.
It's so bad.
I don't think that makes any sense.
No, it ruins like, his introduction.
Yeah,
it literally ruins it.
It muddies this factor of him joining the Straw Hats, because he clearly joined the Straw Hats in Whole Cake. He's a Straw Hat member in Whole Cake.
Yes, it's so.
He's taking orders from Luffy. He's a Helms he's a fucking Straw Hat, and they didn't put him in the fucking spreads for years because he's gonna have this moment of like, oh, we don't know if he's dead or not, you know, and
Yeah,
so it ended up being this rift of like, oh, is he a Straw Hat or not, and I don't know, and like fans just like kind of assuming he isn't or whatever if they don't like him or whatever. I don't know. It was just like stupid.
It's so unnatural for One Piece. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like they always nail like these big moments like that.
Right. Yeah.
I feel like that's such a staple of the series.
And there's so much. It was a little more exacerbated in the anime too because it's like, oh my god, go like and he has to see his dad again. Like Sanji like passes by, and it's like, oh, we'll
really
hold
slow.
like
Okay.
we'll hold. Not that it was slow, but it's like the fact that that moment had to happen. It didn't
Yeah.
have to happen. I don't think he had to like, oh, we'll hold him off too. Like, no, we already figured that you were holding, you were already back there, and you were already holding him back from like the after the party. I don't remember. It's been a few months, and then he finally got away. And then Reverie is like that. Like, I think that's why it feels so disjointed. It feels like its own arc, you know, because this sort of thing of like, oh, bunch of lore dump between arcs has happened before, and we never really considered like Post Enies Lobby as its own arc, you know.
Yeah.
But it's because he has that capper, and it's good. It's really strong with Mary going down. It's like, okay, now and it's okay if he wraps up the arc and it takes a little while. It's the same thing with Skypiea. It took a little while as well, and it's okay if there's like a ease out. But
Yeah,
there
keep
wasn't.
it out.
There's not as much of an ease out with Whole Cake because they just get away, and then they just do this Reverie thing that just feels so disjointed, and then they're just kind of traveling to Wano. I don't know. It didn't quite work for me.
I
And
guess
that really sticks out for me.
Yeah, now that you're saying there's no Ezo, that kind of, I never even noticed that. Because every One Piece, like almost every One Piece arc, it's like they take a couple days to rest or something.
Yeah, even in Dressrosa, after they beat Doffy, they're in the guy's house, like keeping like laying low, hiding from Fujitora and everything. After they're cleaning stuff up and they're figuring stuff out, and then they have that moment of like getting out and escaping, and it's a really emotional kind of cool moment, and it's a nice wrap up for everybody. It's sad. I feel bad that I don't remember her name. Fucking Rebecca. Yeah,
Rebecca.
with Rebecca and everything. That was really great. I really like Dressrosa a lot, and I get people's the bloating doesn't make it is like kind of disjointed and weird in that way. But I'm pretty sure it's like that because of everything to do with the town and Rebecca and the kingdom and the history of that is so unique, I think, to this. I like Skypiea. I don't think has that as much. It has the liar, Nolan the liar backstory, but that's kind of
I think personally, I think Dressrosa is the best setting. Like,
yeah.
It's my favorite setting for sure.
Yeah.
I just think the whole backstory with
The
the
concept is
so
really
interesting,
really
so interesting and engaging, and it ties in with the antagonist so well.
Definitely.
Like,
yeah,
because Doflamingo has like a direct like correlation
control
to it,
and
how like all the characters kind of like find connections to this island. Like
they find something they relate to.
We have Sanji with Violet. We have Usopp with the
Frankie and Mr. Frankie and Senior Pink.
It feels very well thought out. Whereas I feel with Whole Cake, it definitely. I don't know where they would find connections. I guess in the island.
I think most of it was fantastic.
I think Whole Cake's really good.
I thought it had a really cool idea of like this rescue mission. It's like that kind of shonen trope, like that. This is a very standard arc of like one of the characters they care about, and they're going into the lion's den to rescue them. And this is kind of the mother of all those because it's like a fucking archipelago and all these different siblings of Big Mom and different generals and stuff. And it's really just them, and they're completely out of their depth. But they really, it feels like a big, like ever since like once the tea party, like once the wedding starts, and they emerge out of the cake, and that's such a good moment, and it feels so propulsive, and everything's going on, and a lot of dominoes fall down, Not to mention all the really good moments with Sanji, uh, and not the development, right? But like really good moments, you know. And Pudding's awesome. I really liked Pudding as a character. I did see it. I did know about it. I did know about the twist for the most part. I didn't quite know it was that intense of a personality shift, to be honest. But
I
like,
think it's. I still like Pudding. I do think
Yeah.
it's a little weird.
that's jarring. It can be very jarring. I
It's
think.
pretty jarring, and I don't think it's that.
I thought
funny.
it was funny in the anime at least because literally every time she has that like that binary switch of when she's around Sanji, and like kind of going lovey-dovey every time like Sanji does something was so like it was I think it batted 100 for me. I think it like literally every single time it made me laugh. It was so funny.
It's one of the like One Piece has a lot of tropey shonen comedy in it because I think it invented most of it. But this one feels the most like anime trope comedy in a while for me. I couldn't. I don't know. I wasn't too into it. I did like Pudding, and I like the her and Sanji's relationship. I think it's cool.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but
That's
it was
fair, though.
it was kind of weird. And
And I think
'cause
Big Mom is very threatening. Oh my God, Brooke gets
Her
a ton
back.
of good shit.
Yeah, Brooks fight with Big Mom was awesome.
Brooke
Yeah.
puts in work.
Yeah, my boy got his moment.
My boy puts in work.
They finally give my boy a
And,
moment.
Yeah, right.
you like
A couple moments.
Yeah. No, he was doing good.
Yeah.
You like Big Mom's backstory?
Yeah. You know what's so funny in the anime? The nun character is voiced by the same actress who plays Lum in the original Urusei Yatsura.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
So that was fun for me, at least. Like I feel like I've talked about it in Piss Pirates, but like one of the best things for me about watching One Piece as anime is, especially after having watched a ton of other anime and being familiar with a lot of seiyus, is that like every new character that it gets introduced that has some importance to them is given to a voice actor that like One Piece really is the gambit of the most famous and like well-respected and talented voice actors and performances you can ever find. Almost every single one is voiced by someone really who has a lot of really great roles and is extremely talented. But yeah, I like her backstory a lot.
It's so chilling, man. Just like the end of that chapter, you're like, that happened?
Yeah.
That what?
Oh my God. Yeah.
I just think it's such a well executed chapter. Like that one is like so good.
That must be interesting for the chapter as like a 20-page experience.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting.
It's like because it just like he doesn't explain what happens. He never like says
it's
Big Mom
implied.
ate her family.
Right.
What?
And it's like
there's no reaction
suddenly,
to it.
It's suddenly not there. I actually and I really like his handling of that, and I could tell in the anime where it's like only 2 people saw it that day. One person fled for their lives. The other person laughed and was like, "That person's interesting." And it's like, "Oh, that dude's fucked up."
Yeah. Jesus.
That was really cool.
Very no, I like.
But like, there's so many good moments. There's a lot of I like a lot of the characters. I liked Dovin. I liked Brulele a lot. I liked Katakuri.
Katakuri the goat.
Yeah.
The big man. Go to fight.
Yeah.
I love the
a lot
Katakuri.
longer than I expected, to be honest with you. It's like tied for one of the longest anime fights, but it's only because they keep cutting away.
Oh yeah.
But also because like the fight itself is very dragged out. Like they they do a lot of like fighting, and Katakuri is like on top of Luffy the entire time. Like Luffy doesn't feel like he's even close to overwhelming him at all. Even because I feel like even when he was fighting Lucci, there was moments where he's like, oh, he's got him. But then Lucci's able to kind of really fight back, and it felt a lot more even in that way.
It felt a lot more like a JoJo fight in that way, of Luffy trying to find his weakness, which is him being a fat fuck, and eating the donut.
But he didn't even find the weak. It was really just sort of a.
Yeah, it's not him. He's not. It's not literally. He's not.
Yeah.
It's just him slowly figuring out his.
But also just that like Katakuri gave it to him.
Yeah.
He could have kept going, and he's just like, "Are you gonna come back?" Because I think Katakuri kind of sees where this is going, and it's sort of like it's not beneficial for either of them to continue the fight, and so Katakuri's like, I'll let you go.
I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier about the SBS segment about like kinda you lose your honor is like basically a death.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Katakuri revealing his flaws to Luffy is kind of ultimately in his eyes.
Yeah.
Is a defeat.
And watch and then going through the fight they fight a long while after that too.
Yeah.
But then I couldn't remember the specifics of like him turning into Snake Man. He doesn't even beat him with Snake Man. Like he goes into Snake Man for a while and then he still hasn't beaten him. And he goes reverts back to the form and then they're still fighting and they get a really good like double hit on each other. And it's around that point where Katakuri's like, I can't keep doing this.
I'm out, Chief. I'm out.
Yeah, and he's like, just promise me you'll be back. You'll come back, which is weird because I don't think that's happening.
No,
I don't expect that to happen.
Maybe Katakuri will show up later. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe he'll be on Elbaf.
I mean, it's weird. Why didn't he? I don't know what happened to him because I
don't know why he wasn't.
Because he's not in Wano, right?
Yeah, it's weird. It's definitely weird.
So I'm not sure what the. Yeah, I'm sure Oda has a idea for him.
I just think
maybe
there's a lot of things with Big Mom that he handles weirdly. There's stuff in like there's
Wano
stuff
as well. Yeah,
the Wano stuff. It's I don't know. He has a problem with Big Mom, but he also does a really good job at points like the backstory and like most of Whole Cake. I think there's just some key like the characters that Big Mom brings to Wano are like. You brought these motherfuckers?
Right.
Like, you brought the fucking candy cane motherfucker?
Look, candy cane motherfucker makes sense because he's the...
No, I get why. But it...
Yeah.
It's the Pedro stuff. Like, it's like the revenge against... Like plot-wise, I get it.
I also just mean functionally because he was really the one who was able to... He was, like, the smartest dude in her arsenal. And he was able to really have that, like, redirect things. It's like, okay, Mama's doing this. We have to have her go this way. And have some control, because like, what if she had one of her hunger pangs in Wano?
Yeah.
Who the fuck was gonna handle that?
Right,
you know.
Right.
So I think it makes sense in that regard.
I just think the lack of Katakuri is kind of weird, but
that's weird.
I think it's like there's already enough, like Kaido's already such a big threat.
Exactly. It's also just like I can imagine from a reader's perspective, if you're telling the story, I think if Katakuri was to be in Wano, they would want him to fight Luffy again.
Yeah.
And that's too much for him to handle Katakuri and Kaido. Yeah, probably not. Probably not a good idea.
There's only a certain amount you can suspend your disbelief, right?
Or just like so much that this character can reasonably handle.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I like about One Piece a lot is that no matter like, for as crazy as things end up getting throughout the story, there's always this groundedness of like, oh, they can just fucking die. They could just completely lose it, you know? There's a groundedness to it that I've really appreciated even from early One Piece for how cartoony it is and how it's like, oh, he can stretch his arms like rubber or whatever. And then you get like a cut and it's like, oh, he's bleeding. He could die.
Yeah.
You know? There's that really sudden like plummets back down to earth seriousness of these wounds and of like various things that is so compelling with it for me as a One Piece fan that it's kind of hard for Oda to do wrong for me. I think I can't think of something that he would do in a story that like would turn me off. That would because I think he's earned my trust so completely that it really is any weird thing that happens. It's like, hold on, let him cook.
Yeah, it's literally the hold up, let him cook. Like that's what I feel like 90% of the time, because I'll bring up these criticisms.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, he can fix this. He could just I'll let him. He's setting something up.
And I think that ends up being where I guess I'm gonna have that, but then at the same time, I was thinking that reminds me of what we said earlier about like, these theorists and stuff being like, okay, let him cook, and then if he's finished cooking, here's the meal, and it's like, oh, but what about this other thing that never gets resolved?
Yeah.
You know that's probably inevitably going to happen.
Ultimately, I don't think he has to explain everything, but
no, I wouldn't need it either. Because there's certain people that like they say they want certain things, and I'm like, I do not need that actually.
Like I don't
need
need the
to
double
know what happened to that guy. I
so
don't care. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, what happened to the ramen dude from Ennie's Lobby? Like, I don't care.
The fucking ramen dude. Oh
You remember
my
like
God.
the noodle dude on the
Yeah,
train?
yeah. The guy
It's
zombie
like,
fights.
it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what about that guy? It's like, shut up.
I need to know what happens to Brownbeard from Punk
Oh
Hazard.
yeah.
Integral character. He's
Yeah.
got to be on Elbaf. He's gonna kill Blackbeard, but yeah.
Yeah.
No, there.
I-
Yeah.
I will say, yeah, there's certain things where I guess I'm not a complete dick rider. I'm like 70, 80% on that dick, but like
You're 90% on the dick for sure.
yeah,
I'll give
okay.
you 90. You're
Fine,
yeah.
give me 90. All
You're
right,
90
sure.
for now, but you'll slowly huddle off the dick as
I'm
time
more
goes
like,
forward.
you see, I want to be this much on the dick because I was that person for some of my favorite stories that like I would be less on the dick, and this metaphor is weird.
It's so you keep repeating it too. It's so funny. But yeah, no, you're still on the dick. Yeah.
No, but I'd say I don't know. I feel like I don't enjoy myself as much if I have to like I gotta be rational about this, you guys. You know, I gotta no, I don't have to be rational. I don't have to fucking like I can enjoy it as much as I darn well please.
Yeah, and I think that's
live
just
my
the
life,
fucking
you
mantra
know?
of One Piece too. I think
It
that's
has to
kind of
be, right?
It is. So I like it as much as you like, man. But I'm gonna
You know?
yeah, I'm gonna do a little criticism. But I
Look,
it's the
yeah,
best.
especially with I can understand it. I've said it on Pissed, right? Where I can understand it from someone who is this has been a decade long thing.
Yeah.
So I'll probably be more embittered. I'll slip further and further down off the dick as
Yeah.
time goes by.
As time goes by. Yeah, I feel like a worried parent more than like.
I get
making
it because that's your
criticisms.
baby. Those characters.
It's not. It was his baby, but now it's our baby Oda, and I'm worried that you're gonna raise it the wrong way. You're gonna let him hang out with the wrong kid in town. It's like,
Don't kill them. Yeah.
don't kill them, please.
Don't kill Law,
Like-
my baby.
Like I get it. Like Luffy goes Gear 5th right immediately against Lucci, but I'm like, what does that mean for the rest of the powers? Are they not gonna be? Are they gonna kind of be obsolete? Like that worries me because I like the other powers too. And I'm
Yeah,
like, I
I
was
felt
thinking
that-
the Gear
I-
5th is a last ditch effort thing because like most of the other like new power ups, but he went
Right.
immediately to Gear 5th. And I'm
Right.
like, damn.
I don't know. I think because at the same time, right? He introduced that Conqueror's Hockey, so he's never really gonna have the classic like, let me just beat up these grunts with Gum Pistol and He doesn't need to do that anymore because the whole world's against him.
True.
He would just be doing that forever if he wanted to do it the easy way, like the hard way, I guess. Kind of like it's like in Pokemon, where it's like I'm so strong, I'm just gonna use Tackle on this
Yeah.
very big character or whatever. Like he's not gonna just use second gear on Lucci, right? And
Yeah.
and then you look at it, it's like, does he really want to go to like Snake Man? What if he doesn't beat Lucci in Snake Man and now he has to time out for 10 minutes? He's fucked. So he has to go to Gear 5th. I think.
it just feels like there's no limitations on Gear 5th. you know?
No, and that's what I like about it.
That's what's kind of scary about it.
It's scary. But like I remember
I think
watching.
it fits with like the idea of the power.
It fits in line because like I remember watching One Piece when I first started it, that being kind of scared of Luffy. I was like, this dude's crazy. You know, he had way more chaotic energy than any shonen protagonist I've read, because he really just doesn't give a fuck and is very like happy and creative and like feckless. I maybe is the word.
Yeah.
And his powers were like, oh, you know, and I never had. But then once you get used to it by like end of East Blue, I would say, then it's like, you know, it's Luffy, right? And we love him.
He's got
you know?
morals.
He's
got
the boy.
like, yeah, he's a good boy and he's got a great sense of morals. And
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
you trust
but you
him.
know, and he doesn't have this edge to him that's just like, oh, I don't know what's going on with him.
Yeah,
but
I'm
Gear
saying I'm more
5th
scared for the
for like
just
the
overpoweredness.
stakes.
Yeah, the stakes of the
Yeah,
story
okay.
is what I'm more. I'm not literally scared of Luffy. He's a fictional character.
I'm scared of Luffy. Actually,
I'm not.
I like.
I
that.
would beat him in a fucking fight, but it's
Okay.
like,
In Gear 5th?
Gear easily. I'm Gear 6, man.
Oh, okay, I see.
It's it's yeah. I'm just like afraid that it's just the power scaling just too high now. Like you can just go OP in like 2 seconds.
But he didn't beat Lucci in
Where
2
it's like-
seconds. You know, I think like I really like watching Gear Fifth because he's playing with him.
Yeah,
He doesn't
Gear
like just
Fifth
do.
is so
He doesn't do
entertaining.
this. He doesn't do this overwhelming strength to beat him in one punch or something. It's not anticlimactic. The fights are always still really fun to watch because he's still dodging attacks like very, very in a creative way. And then like even doing this rocket thing in the latest, like in one of the recent chapters, him doing this little quick like putting these goggles on, and then doing the attack. It's stuff like that it's still entertaining and fun. So even if there's like the dude doesn't stand a chance, I've always felt that about Luffy to begin with. That was the part of the scary part. Is like, oh my god, what can you do to him? You know?
Yeah.
I always had that like, oh fuck, kind of factor to him, and that's been brought back now that like hockey and the powers got so complicated, and now that you have this like godlike power, it's like, oh fuck, it's
I just think it's a sense of it's probably just a combination of having that power and also just Oda speeding up the pacing maybe.
I think so too. Yeah,
I think it might be that.
You know what else is that? You know what was also good about that moment was that he was able to have, because I was apprehensive of him fighting. I actually didn't think he was going to fight Lucci, but then it's sort of another of course moment with Oda, where he sees Atlas down, and Luffy's like, he gave us food. Fuck you. And just goes fight him, and it's like, oh, of course that would happen. Oh, that's why you're Goda.
Exactly.
Why did I doubt you? You don't see rematches like that. Luffy is like very rarely. I can't think of another instance of him like beating Buggy again. Like, why does he have to beat Buggy again? Now that he's an emperor, just because he's an emperor. Like,
I think we're gonna get a bunch of rematches coming up.
But see, we already are. Because we already have Kaku and Zoro as well fighting each other.
Yeah, it's and that's exciting. I think it's just really exciting for all the longtime fans and everything.
Right, because he's able to give these parallels. It's like, oh, they punch each other, like they punched together, just like this other chapter, 15 years ago when they first fought. And calling back to that is really, really cool. But it's because he gave Lucci that awakened form. He's like, you're not the only one who's powered up, and that's cool. That's cool. Like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, and we're at the final stages for, so this is it. I don't know. It makes sense to me.
It makes sense. I get it. I just hope the stakes aren't ruined.
Yeah, I think there's ways he can make it. I think there's ways he can do things, because like Luffy is still not like the smartest dude. He's still gonna put himself in really bad situations. That like maybe you shouldn't have done that, Luffy, or other characters are in danger. Just because Luffy might not be the one in danger, it might still be other characters that, depending on the situation and stuff. I still think there's plenty of room, and it doesn't necessarily, the stakes don't necessarily have to be in the fights, especially now, because fucking that was the case for the years, right?
Yeah, especially in this arc, I think.
Yeah,
because this arc, it's much more, I feel like, cartoony. Like there's like just less stakes. I think as a whole. It's because it's way more of like a transitionary arc as compared to like Wano. So I can see definitely.
And Wano was so much about strength. It really was just like, can Luffy physically beat Kaido? I don't know. I think I don't know. Right? And actually physically overcoming odds, but there are so many more like other different kinds of odds and challenges that Oda has presented them with in the past that he can throw them with. I still think there could be more kind of water. I've been missing more Water 7 stuff of like actual crew derision. Like they've been such a tight unit for so long, which makes sense because like the Water 7 brought them together in such a specific strong way that they're probably never going to have such a huge rift like that again. But like, I really want some conflict. Not that I don't want lack. I'm not saying it's a criticism or lacking of it, but like I would love to have a disagreement. It's like we should.
Yeah,
we
that would be really
shouldn't,
interesting.
That
would be really interesting.
Yeah, I just
like
want more
some
with the
enemy
crew.
force kind of. I think it would be really interesting just the fan fiction real quick. Just like
Yeah.
just say one of the other enemy forces like Blackbeard, the Buggy or
Navy.
just someone like tempting part of the crew, kind of
Mhm.
splitting them up into like two factions and having that
Yeah.
as an integral part of like
Yeah.
the final saga, and then kind of
Yeah. I think Frankie has the room for that because he's currently on this like island and idolizing Vegapunk, and if Vegapunk is going in a direction that is oppositional to Luffy and his crew, he might actually have a quandary.
It does
like a
seem like
genuine
Vegapunk
quandary.
is kind of chill.
I think Vegapunk is chill, but at least one of the paths are not.
Yeah, the evil one.
Yeah, there's one traitor which
the traitor. Yeah.
I kind of assume it's Shaka, to be honest with you. I think
Is
it's
that-
the first number one.
Yeah, it could be.
I kind of assume it's that one. I think it would be cool if it isn't, but that's my current assumption. I can't see like York. It'd be interesting if York was the.
Is that the fat?
traitor.
Is that the one?
Yeah,
that
that's the
eats?
girl. Yeah.
Yeah. That would be
Yeah,
really
yeah.
funny. Yeah, it's hard to tell. It's really hard to tell at this point, but
Yeah, so it only just happened, you know.
Yeah,
We
it's
only
only
just
just
discovered it.
starting.
Or maybe it's not a traitor among the six of them, and it's some other force. I
some
don't know.
other enemy force.
It could be some. Yeah, I don't know. But,
I find it hard for like I really like that idea of the crew kind of splitting up again, just like
Yeah.
at least like maybe one character or a couple characters kind of splitting up. I would find it increasingly hard, especially for a lot of the characters, because they keep it happens so often. Just like one of the characters.
Not a physical separation like Dressrosa or.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Not in
yeah,
that way, because I mean we just had that with Whole Cake with Sanji, like.
Yeah.
Probably
I mean
leaving
just
it,
more
yeah.
of a like an internal struggle. Like,
Yeah,
sort of.
or just like a splintering with the crew of like some people agree with this regard and others are on this person's side. I think that could definitely happen with like if Luffy and Zoro ever have that disagreement
I
with
think
each
a
other.
Luffy Zoro thing would make the most sense.
Yeah, I think so too.
But
And then-
it's just I
yeah.
think back to all these moments when the characters are reassuring that Luffy will be the Pirate King. Like
Mhm.
it happens so often now. It's
No,
like
they
every
are. I
arc-
think it's possible for them to both believe that and to have
Yeah.
this other conviction.
Yeah.
And then that there's that, but that's what makes it interesting. And there's a tension there.
I would
yeah.
love a Zoro Luffy conflict just because they're
I
just
think so
like
too.
that would be very interesting and give something for Zoro because
Yeah.
I wish there was more for Zoro and Wano. We
Hmm.
didn't really get to see much. Like everyone was kind of anticipating that. Like,
Yeah, for
Zoro
sure.
had some fun stuff in there. Like there was some
Yeah, he gets
good
good
fights.
moments. Yeah.
There's good moments, but I was just
Right.
hoping he got like the same thing.
No,
Sanji
yeah,
got.
I get that. I think people were expecting that, you know, and that's the thing with. I think it's a fool's errand to expect a pattern with Oda, as I from what I've seen of experienced all in a shot. I'd say that like he doesn't like doing the same thing twice. You know, I think people can find subtle patterns in different arcs and stuff, but like ultimately, he really manages to switch things up and keeps it consistently fresh, right?
Yeah.
If he didn't, then it would have been way more noticeable, and I think it would have been a serious, exasperated problem of the series that I think would never be shut up about. Like, there's a lot of different things that people don't shut up about, right? About like the deaths or the pacing and et cetera, et cetera. Imagine something even worse. You know, like these are, when you look at the grand scheme of things, these are minor complaints compared to
Yeah.
some other larger things that other series are suffering with.
Yeah, no,
I
I
think.
definitely agree. It's just
Yeah.
I like bringing it up just as a discussion. But
Oh, no, 100%.
Doubt Piece is over. We should change the title of the podcast to Doubt Piece because
Doubt piece, yeah?
Yeah, cause I don't know. I feel like a lot of these conversations are me being like, "Will Oda succeed?" And then it's like, maybe he will, maybe he won't.
Well, this story moves very slowly, as you can imagine.
Yeah,
It's 20
moving
pages
slow.
every 2 weeks now.
Every week or 2 weeks.
Maybe
yeah.
two
Well,
or maybe more.
well, it's like it's been like this for years. Like ever since he got hospitalized, like
Mm.
like for a month. Like it was like really
Yeah.
bad. Like he was really sick. So
Right,
they
right.
just like give him any. Like I don't give a
They
shit.
give him as much time as he wants.
Yeah, he's the goat. They're gonna give him all the time he needs. So.
Mhm.
it's
And
kinda
as I tried to affirm myself with the start of this podcast was that like I think it's very easy now that I've I should explain now that what my plan is for One Piece, for watching it. I am waiting for Gear Fifth. I think there's going to be a moment where it's like, oh yeah, it's going to be in the next 2 or 3 weeks, and based on the pace of like chapter adaptation to episode, it looks like it's going to happen sometime in May, like April or May. So it'll probably be around there. I'm like, okay, I'm going to binge it.
Yeah,
I'm going to go hard, and then I'll be there for that.
The big
My
moment.
anticipation, I'm going to be caught up. Like when I caught up was Gear Fifth, effectively.
That's cool.
That's my plan at the moment, and that's why it's a bit on
cute.
hold.
That's
yeah,
cute.
Yeah. It's cute, but then that leaves me waiting, sitting on Wano for months, and then I am watching other things, and the passion cools, and I don't like it. I don't like the passion cools. I gotta buy more manga.
You gotta rekindle the fire.
I gotta keep reading it, and rewatching it. I have these projects I really want to do that I'm really passionate. I love One Piece so much. I don't want to continue. I don't want to just have like I said, I don't want to extinguish it.
I feel you, man.
Let it cool.
I feel you. One Piece is pretty good. And that's what this podcast is about, guys. Thank you for listening to Pissed Pirates. And yeah, subscribe and like it if you like it. And comment topics, I guess, of what you guys want us to watch.
Sarabasha!
So, yeah, whatever.
Next time we record, who knows? Maybe in another 4 months.
Maybe it'll be a year. Who knows?
Good
Who
Lord.
knows?
Oh my God! So much has happened. Yeah.
So much has happened. Luffy died. What? Bro.
Or like the thing we wanted happened in the manga. Let's talk about it.
We update like our doubts in this, and it's like, oh yeah, it was actually good. And then that's the
whatever.
whole podcast.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
Who knows, man?
But like,
all right.
yeah, we're gonna. Yeah. All right.
Thank you guys for listening.
Till next time, fellas. Yo, peace.
Peace.